AITA for not letting my daughter use her college fund for a wedding or house. Backstory: I, 43F, have 4 kids. L, 22F, Katie, 17F, CAM 15 meters, Isla, 5F, and I'm also currently pregnant. Me and my husband, 50 meters, started adding to college funds every month for each of our kids pretty much as soon as we found out we were pregnant. I won't say the exact amount, but my husband has an excellent job, so it's more than most. We never told our kids because it just didn't feel necessary. Elle got pregnant when she was 16 and ended up dropping out of school. I was very disappointed, but I understood. However, I was under the impression she would return later, but she has no plans to. The dad stuck around and now they have 1 more kid, 3, and 1 on the way. They are engaged but don't plan to marry until they can afford it. They were doing okay financially for a while, but due to the market right now they've been struggling because Elle can't get a job since she doesn't have a diploma, so we've been loaning them money. Katie is a senior and just got accepted into college. We've been setting everything up, and obviously she knows about the fund now. Katie and Elle were talking and she was telling Elle about the school, and Elle asked how she was planning on paying for it. Katie responded, "My college fund." I was in the room while they were talking, and this made me panic. We had just planned on splitting it between the remaining 4, since we knew they were going to college. Elle asked me if they all had one and I wasn't going to lie, so I said yes. She got really excited and went to call her fiancé and tell him the good news. I was confused and told her she couldn't have the money. She asked why, and I said it's for school. She got upset and left my house. The next day I get a call from Elle. She was crying and begging me to let her have the funds so she could finally afford a down payment and maybe even a wedding. I told her she could have the money if she went back to school, and whatever money was left over she could use for whatever she wanted. She got super mad and started yelling at me and saying it's her money. I told her that it was my money and those were my conditions, and she hung up. Now we are being harassed by her fiancé's family. They aren't as fortunate as us, calling us assholes and a lot of other names. Saying it's all gonna go to waste if she doesn't use it, we're setting her up for failure, etc. Now I'm wondering if I'm the asshole because my dad said we should give her the money as we saved it for her after all. So am I the asshole? NTA, I'm going to be downvoted 1,000,000 times, but hear me out. You put money into a college fund for each kid. The whole purpose was to help with their education. It's a generous fund, and not everyone is able to do that for 1 kid, let alone 4 plus 1 on the way. She made other choices and that's fine. Just because she was unaware of the college fund doesn't mean she can just collect it now, after finding out. She was happy with her relationship until she found out, right? But can you find a compromise to smooth everything over? Say, she gets her GED in 1 to 2 years in a community college or trade school, graduating with an AA certification, and the rest of the money is hers. Would that satisfy you and your husband? Plenty of some have put themselves through nursing, dental assistant, hygienist school, for example, with only grants and loans, and did it through sheer hard work and determination. Her fiancé's family had absolutely no business sticking their noses into this. I find that appalling and disrespectful. They need to be told to butt out. Edit. I meant dental hygienist or assistant, not dental school. Sorry. This is what I came here to say. Find a middle ground. She can't move forward in life without a GED. So set some conditions around that. Once she completes her GED, you will give her a certain percent of the money. Once she completes an associate's or certificate program, you will give her the remaining amount. She should also qualify for financial aid. NTA, but again, I think a compromise is the way to go. I also don't think expecting her to go to a traditional college is feasible. Edit to fix typos. Should she feel automatically entitled to the money? No. But that's about the only way she's an There's a whole flock of reasons you are. You speak dismissively about the committed man who's stuck by her side through teenage pregnancy, another child, and has asked her to marry him. You speak as if she's less than because of a mistake she made in high school. You say you're under the impression she would return later, but she didn't know about the education fund. So do you think maybe her lack of funding would have influenced her decision to not go back when she had a baby at home? You are also under an assumption that all your remaining children will decide on further education. That's a pretty silly assumption. It's your money. You can do what you want with it. But as a grandmother, you think you'd be happy that your daughter wants to give her children a home and 2 married parents. Edit. To everyone coming at me, check out a few more of Op's comments. It's not about money or education. It's about control. I also wonder if Op would accept further education as a trade school. College and uni aren't the only option. NTA, it is not her money, it never was, and it was never a trust fund. It was money set aside to fund an education for her, and you have made it clear that it is still very generously available to her to do exactly that. Frankly, as a 22-year-old high school dropout with 2 children and a third on the way, at this point she should be realizing more than ever, if she has matured at all, and based on her and her husband's struggles of the last few years, that going back to school and getting an education, or vocational training of some sort, am I incorrect in thinking that you would be willing to pay for vocational school, as long as she is in fact getting an education? Is the best possible thing that she could do for her future and her family's financial stability. The fact that she doesn't see this, that she thinks that you owe her something, and perhaps most importantly, that she thinks that money given to her should be spent on a wedding and perhaps a house, which latter she likely couldn't afford the taxes and upkeep on in the long term, given her poor career prospects without even a high school education, tells me that she is still making bad choices. Only now she's making them as an adult, with dependents. You are absolutely NTA, and I think it's actually important that you stick to your guns, for her sake. Tell her that the money will continue to be available to her to use for an education, which would help her in the long run far more than a wedding or a house down payment, but it isn't a trust fund, and never was. It is crazy to me that people think she should be given the money. She's making adult choices, like having more kids and getting married, but expects her parents to fund it. Where does it end? School isn't for everyone, but she hasn't even finished high school. And people need to understand that some paths in life will mean you can't afford to buy a house or you can't retire early. She has the opportunity to have school paid for, something many are not afforded. Yet she feels entitled to more, and guaranteed if this money was given to her, the entitlement wouldn't subside. She has done nothing to help herself. Op should keep the money set aside for her if she does want education in the future. AITA, for leaving my family in Squalor and going to a resort. So let's begin with this. I make decent money, but I am in no way rich. I like to take my family on vacation and have been stymied for the last couple of years. So this summer I decided to do something I thought was pretty great. I paid for my family to go to Disneyland. Not just my wife and kids, but also my Mill, my wife's brother and his wife and kids. So 10 people. I also rented a McMansion with a pool and everything. I bought all the groceries and rented a truck so I could ferry the luggage, and in case of emergency, we would have a vehicle. My kids are in their teens and my nephews are a few years younger. My immediate family did not require any help with the kids. And, realistically, neither did my in-laws. So we get to the house and the problems start. The room I had picked out for my wife and I is obviously the nicest. My father-in-law and mother-in-law chose to stay in the pool house. This left 5 other bedrooms for 6 people. Bill Sill, my 2 kids, their 2 kids. Simple, right? Not so fast. Why did I get the best room? They hadn't had some nice time alone in years. Why did my kid pick the room with the ensuite? Why did one room have a bigger TV? Why are we having to cook some meals? Why don't we just order every meal? JFC. I just went to my room and went to sleep. First day. More BS. Why do we have to wait in lines? Why don't we get the tour guide that lets us skip the lines? My wife started joining in. She said we shouldn't be cooking at the house and that it wasn't fair to her and Sil to be stuck with the cleaning. My kids always help. I do too. Bill sits on his ass though. My in-laws joined the fun at the end of the day. They didn't want to wait for the Uber. Could they take the truck and meet us back at the house? My wife said to let them. I got sick of it. I ordered everyone pizza and then while they were gorging themselves, I called an Uber and went to a hotel that I am a super shiny member of. I used my points to book a suite for the next 6 days. I texted my wife and told her I would catch up with everyone in the morning at the park. She is mad that I left her to deal with those ungrateful, greedy people. I'm sitting in the pool enjoying a gin and tonic and writing this because I left the park after I saw the new superhero stuff at the park. Her brother and sister-in-law are now bugging her to give up the nice room since she is alone. Now she is not on their side. Too late. So. AITA for leaving them to all sort out their own stuff after I went out of my way to do something nice and they crapped all over it. Edit. I'm going to go get ready for the game. Thank you guys. You have given me a lot to think about. Yikes. Edit. My wife went beast mode. She is spending the night with me at the hotel after the game. I am back at the house tomorrow. My brother-in-law has been told if he even looks at our room he and his wife are going to a motel. In-laws were told to Uber wherever they wanted. We are still taking everyone out for one dinner, but all other meals not made in the house are pay your own way. And brother-in-law is responsible for cleaning up after meals. Honestly didn't think she had that in her. NTA. This is actually hilarious. You took a vacation from your entitled relative's vacation. Well, maybe you should have warned your wife and brought her along and left the other relatives to figure things out for themselves. I can't even fathom someone sponsoring me for a free vacation like that and saying anything but thank you so much, let me get your suitcase for you, this is fantastic. Next year, tell them since the last vacation wasn't up to their standards, you're going to let them pay for this one and show you how it's done properly. Oh yeah, this is a one-off. Never again. I thought I was doing something the nephews would appreciate, but they are also telling me what I should do. NTA. Your in-laws are greedy. Your wife should have shut them down right away. All it would take is her saying that they can either enjoy the trip as you intended or go home. Hopefully this is the last time you invite the ingrates anywhere. Enjoy your alone time because by the time your wife gets home she is going to be at the end of her rope too. NTA. What is wrong with all the people calling you an ass? You went above and beyond for your wife's family. They are greedy and ungrateful. Your wife should have shut that down and instead joined them in whining. They are lucky they still have reservations and a vacation.